Hello to my fellow history lovers and people that think if I learn something new today, it'll be a good day. So I want you to imagine that you, yes, you, are a member of the Continental Congress and you're meeting in what is the capital of the rebellion, which is Philadelphia. And you're at what will become the Independence Hall, will be named Independence Hall in time to come. And you have really a bad situation on your hands. So, how the British general has been trying to get to Philadelphia because it's the capital. He knows this illegal Congress is there. And you know, as part of the illegal Congress, if he gets you in his clutches, you are like the biggest traitors to the crown imaginable, and you're all going to go to the gallows. So Washington is trying to protect you, your army, and he has, in the Battle of Brandywine, attempted to block the road to Philadelphia. Unfortunately, and it's one of the biggest battles in the Revolution. Over 30,000 soldiers will be involved. But in this particular instance, Washington, it's a disaster. It is a disaster. What Howe does is, as he's coming, Washington thinks it'll be a frontal attack, but Howe tricks him and does a partial frontal attack, gets all the attention there, and then goes around on a flanking movement. And the American army, the Continental Army, falls apart. So now Howe, the British Army, has a clear road to you, you in the Continental Congress. So, what would you do? I want to really think about that for a minute. You want to imagine that people hundreds of years ago were no different than us, right? You want to protect your life. You know that if he gets you, you're basically going to go to the gallows. You probably have a family that you love. And you might be thinking, this whole thing was a major mistake. Oh my God, we just need to flee for the hills, forget it, and try to figure out what to do next. But that is not what they did. So, what did the Continental Congress do under enormously stressful circumstances? So, the first thing you might do, and what Congress did under enormous stress, is you ask this guy, your general, Washington, hey, can you come and protect the city and protect us and keep the capital alive? Because this guy, British General Howe, is on the road to us. And Washington, in essence, says, we have a choice here. We could protect the city or save the army. And the army is what needs to survive at all costs. We need to save the army. So he basically says the capital might have to fall, but our emphasis has to be on keep the army going. And that is something you'll actually see throughout the revolution, his understanding that ultimately you had to keep the army alive to fight for another day. And we can be glad he said so. So this is what will happen next. So you, as part of the Continental Congress, are in a room with some pretty amazing minds. And this is going to include John Hancock, it's going to include Sam Adams, and it's going to include John Adams. And what I think is amazing under this circumstance is they don't fall apart, they don't disband, they don't flee for the hills. They actually, under John Hancock, follow the rules and procedures, even of closing up things. They gather all the important documents that will keep the country going. And they basically, in a way, I would say, set a precedent that we are not going to fall into chaos, that we're going to be a nation of rules and laws. And I would juxtapose that, say, to the French Revolution, where it all just sort of goes crazy, right? These guys, and they keep it together and they keep it following procedures. They're going to make sure that everything is done by the book, that as I say, it's a nation of laws. And I have to give a lot of credit to John Hancock here because he's sometimes seen as a bit of a fop and kind of the puppet of Sam Adams. And even in when I wrote One If by Land, Two If by Submarine, I kind of had fun with his character because he's seen as sort of a guy that liked to wear stylish clothes and not always given a lot of credit. But what a leader does in a situation like that is going to set the tone for everyone. And I'll just add that as I'm taping this is getting kind of long, I apologize, but as I'm taping, the Russia has invaded Ukraine. And I remember early in the war when President Zelensky of Ukraine shows himself in video or something and says, basically, he's there with his cabinet, that we're not leaving, we're not fleeing, that, they had an offer to come in and try to save them, but that they were going to hold steady, they were going to protect their country. And I think that's what these guys are doing too, is they're saying, we're not going to disband, we're not going to dissolve into Congress, we're going to stick together even under the most dire of circumstances. And I think we owe a huge thanks to all of them. So anyway, thank you for letting me share, and I will see you tomorrow.